As far as the military budget, I haven't seen anything from her that makes me believe she would actually push a dent in that military budget, a dramatic dent. I also have not seen her widely discuss Yemen, which I'm going to get to later, where Bernie Sanders has put forth bills to stop the U.S. involvement and funding of Saudi Arabia in Yemen. I think foreign policy was actually, they say, a rough spot for Bernie in 2016. I don't think foreign policy would be a bright spot for Elizabeth Warren. I also think Elizabeth Warren, it's not going to be a problem to the corporate media, but among progressives, I don't know if as many progressives are going to be excited about Elizabeth Warren, because Elizabeth Warren has showed up for some progressive fights, but she has not showed up for a lot more. I'm talking about Standing Rock. As far as I know, and I was there 7 times, Elizabeth Warren said nothing about Standing Rock. As far as I know, Elizabeth Warren has not been out front sounding the alarm hardcore on climate change. Elizabeth Warren, as far as I know, was not going after Barack Obama when he was president on droning half the world. So, again, if you're coming late to this, I want to be clear. If it came down to Elizabeth Warren versus Donald Trump, I would vote for her in a second. Okay, I don't look at that as a lesser of two evils situation. Elizabeth Warren is 100 times better than Donald Trump. I do not think I don't fear if Elizabeth Warren is president that we'd automatically be at war with Syria, Russia, and God knows who, like Trump, like Hillary Clinton. As far as I know, Elizabeth Warren doesn't have a foundation that she's been funneling money through. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm not saying don't vote for Elizabeth Warren if she ended up being the nominee. But to me, Bernie Sanders is the reason, probably the biggest reason, why you have this progressive energy in this country. Yes, there's been organizing groups, Fight for 15, many other groups. But Bernie Sanders was that catalyst, that spark. And I think if all things are equal, if his health is good and all those things, he should be running. He should be running. Even if Elizabeth Warren is in there. The more progressives, the better. The more progressives, the better. And you know what? I think a ticket of Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, whatever way it goes, president or vice president, if she's president, he's vice president, or vice versa, could defeat Donald Trump. What concerns me is her versus Trump, because you have to look at the states that Donald Trump won that were surprising. Wisconsin, Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Florida, okay? Well, a lot of those states voted for Trump because of his talk of ending NAFTA, bringing jobs back, and all those things. Bernie Sanders won several of those states in the Democratic primary, Wisconsin and Michigan. Well, is Elizabeth Warren, as far as we know, everything she said was not, she wasn't in Congress during NAFTA or the Senate during NAFTA, but I don't know in my gut. I don't know if Elizabeth Warren is going to convince those Rust Belt states. Trump has been rallying in those Rust Belt states. He did. I don't think it was nearly what it needed to be, but he did redo the NAFTA deal and made it 2 separate deals, one with Mexico, one with Canada. I think he's going to con the people that voted for him in those states that it's this magically better deal. I don't know if Elizabeth Warren is what tips those states back to the Democrats. I really don't. I really don't. And let me tell you something. If Elizabeth Warren speaks like an economic populist and an economic progressive for Medicare for all those things, don't think the DNC won't try to rig it against her either. Don't think the DNC won't try to rig it against her either. Because man or woman, the DNC, the Democrats, not for an economic populist or progressive. Not for it. So that's what I think. I think Bernie should run. Even if Elizabeth Warren runs, if Bernie doesn't run because she runs, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if she would beat Trump. I also don't know if she would beat Kamala Harris. Because I think if Kamala Harris runs, the Democratic Party is going to be behind her so much so, that Elizabeth Warren, believe it or not, Elizabeth Warren does not have the name recognition that Bernie Sanders now does. Sure, people know Elizabeth Warren, but she's not nationally known to the point where, automatically, if you hear she's running for president or whatever, everybody knows who she is. Everybody's familiar with her policies. Not everybody knows that. So I think Bernie should run, and I think there's no doubt in my mind that Bernie Sanders would defeat Donald Trump. With Elizabeth Warren, I'm not sure. But I will say it now. You don't have to like me. You don't have to agree with me. If it did come down to Elizabeth Warren versus Trump, I would vote for her. I don't think she's perfect, but to me, that is not a lesser of two evils situation. She's 100% better than any establishment Democrat hack. I think she needs a little education as far as the defense budget and the wars. I don't like her positions on that. I don't like the fact that she hasn't come out strongly against for Standing Rock and against climate change and those things. But we cannot be extremists. We cannot say, if we don't agree with one or two aspects of them, we're not voting for them. No, she's not Hillary Clinton. She's not. Let's be reasonable. But needless to say, I think October 15th, 2018 was the first announcement of who's running for president. She's running, period. She's running, period. And before I move on to the next topic, for all 143 of you, because we just got a $200 donation in the GoFundMe. Thank you, Arlene Chambers. That brings us to $11,780. Arlene, you are getting, for that $200 contribution, you're getting a hat and a shirt. And as my business partner Jen told me, until we reach 12,000, every person that contributes $200 is getting a Status Quo swag bag with all sorts of goodies. So $100 gets you this badass shirt. Just came in today. We're going to start mailing them out. The back, if you're coming to this late, this is what the back looks like. Oh, that one doesn't have anything on the back. This one does. There we go. And for my female viewers, here's the V-neck version. I have a niece on the way, so maybe I'll try to order like a super infant one for her when she's born. Excited about that. So thank you, Arlene. We're almost at 12,000. Thank you. That's exciting. So let me know what you think of Warren 2020. Excited? Don't like it? Would rather Bernie? Let me know. And Jen, if you could put the GoFundMe link in the super chat, that would be good. So, Ludo says meh to Elizabeth Warren. Edward says F no to Warren. Victoria, of course, would rather Bernie. Miriam, much rather Bernie. Edward, Bernie or no one. Astri, no, not excited for Warren 2020, but would support Warren 2020. No question if Bernie is either not. That's how I feel. I'm not excited for her, but I would support her. And I think Warren, compared to Obama or Bill Clinton, would be the most progressive president we've had possibly since FDR. And although I would prefer Bernie, if we're going to have a first woman president, which I'm all for, I'd rather it be her than Hillary Clinton or Kamala Harris. I really would.